Hi friends, how are you today? I hope you guys are all doing well. I'm Faiza and every week I talk about a true crime story. So if you're interested in true crime, do like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And let's get into today's story. So when I read this case, I was absolutely shocked. It's about this young man that is suffering from intense mental health issues. Apparently he has schizophrenia and he has these violent outbursts that come out of nowhere. So the case I'm talking about today is Peter Bryan, and this person, he was all kinds of messed up. He was a problem. He was also a cannibal. So this is the first time me mentioning cannibalism on this channel. Peter Bryan was born on October 4th, 1969 in London. He was the youngest out of 7 children and his family migrated from Barbados to London. Peter grew up in East London most of his life and he attended Shaftesbury Junior School. And then he went to Trinity Secondary School. So at the age of 15, he dropped out of school and decided to work in a clothing store. Shortly after that, when he got bored of working at the clothing shop, he moved to working in a soup kitchen where he was teaching others how to cook. Many years later, in 1987, Bryan was living in a halfway house called the Flying Angel and Custom House. This is where he attempted to throw another resident out of a 6-story window. The police were called, but they did absolutely nothing about it. And the victim himself, he just didn't want to press charges, but he did say that Bryan attempted to attack him out of nowhere. It was an unprovoked attack, and he just went 0 to 100. Bryan saw an open window, and he just decided to throw him out of the window, but you know, the victim fought back and survived, but it is not looking good here. Not much was said about Bryan's upbringing, so I am going to skip forward to 1994, where Bryan was in a Rampton Secure Psychiatric Hospital, and this is where he confessed murdering 21-year-old shop assistant Nisha. He murdered Nisha in 1993, and she has been beaten to death with a hammer. So by 2001, the medical staff and psychiatrists believed that Bryan was doing well. Medical staff believed that he was behaving accordingly, and he has made significant progress in his behavior, and his mental state improved, according to them. However, it was all a facade. It was all an act. You know, psychopaths are very good at imitating good behavior, because Bryan doesn't change his ways later on, as I discussed this case. So with his good behavior, he was transferred to John Howard Center, and he was released into care of a psychiatrist and a social worker after a trial period. So in 2002, Bryan applied to a mental health tribunal, which allowed him to move to Riverside Hostel in North London. He had the freedom to come and go as he pleased. He was given a lot of freedom at this point. So by October of 2003, yet again, psychiatrists noted that his mental health has improved, and they even planned for him to move into a more independent accommodation. Bear in mind that he has murdered a 21-year-old woman in 1993, and they are planning to release him in 2003 to live independently. However, in January of 2004, Bryan was accused of assaulting a 16-year-old girl. So what they did was they sent Bryan to an open psychiatric ward for his own safety. So just hours of being discharged from this unit, on February 17th, 2004, Bryan kills again. This time his friend Brian Cherry. The crime was brutal. Bryan dismembered Cherry, and investigators found a frying pan on the stove with human remains on it. Brain tissue and brain matter was found on the frying pan. All of this still happened in East London. Bryan was sent to Broadmoor Psychiatric Hospital. So on April 25th, 2004, Bryan kills again. This time he kills a 59-year-old patient called Richard Loudwell. Bryan then claimed that if he wasn't interrupted, he would have consumed his flesh, but he didn't get a chance to. Because, you know, they gave Bryan chance after chance, and each time he managed to murder someone or to attack someone, and he is completely unpredictable. He would just snap out of nowhere. And finally, he has been diagnosed with schizophrenia. So on March 15th, 2005, Bryan pleaded guilty to 2 counts of manslaughter due to diminished responsibility at the Old Bailey. The judge, Giles Forrester, stated that Bryan killed because it gave him a thrill and made him feel powerful when he ate his victim's flesh, and he was sentenced to a whole life tariff. All of this could have been prevented. The psychiatric staff were conducting Bryan's mental state accordingly, but they didn't. It is another failure to the system, and it's an ongoing problem. As I discussed each case week after week, all of these deaths could have been prevented. Quality of services is a joke, but I'm just telling you what I've read so far. However, it doesn't end there. In 2006, his sentence was overturned by Lord Chief Justice Lord Phillips, who noted that although Bryan was mentally ill, it was unlikely for him to be released out into the public. So his sentence was readjusted to 15 years. And he has to remain in Broadmoor Hospital for further treatment indefinitely. So Bryan's story is just a chilling reminder of the complexity surrounding mental health and violent behavior. And I know today's case was quite short, but there isn't much information about Bryan, where he grew up, and, you know, all of that stuff. It's just, he was a very dangerous man, and he showed time and time again that he cannot be trusted and he cannot, you know, live as a responsible adult. A lot of things were overlooked in this case. There weren't any solid reasons why he was murdering. He was just murdering people at random. So anyone that is at close proximity to him will eventually get attacked by him. So my friends, this brings us to the end of today's case. Please do stay safe and hydrated. Happy New Year. I will see you guys soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.